All right, welcome back to Yankees Hot Stove, everybody. I'm joined on the set of Center Stage with Yankees manager Joe Girardi, who just returned from the winter meetings in Nashville. Joe, what's your winter been like so far?
Extremely busy. My family keeps me extremely busy, and talking to Brian a lot this offseason about some of the potential moves that we're going to make and how we get our team better.
How does it work? Does he say, listen, I'm thinking of trading this guy. Do you think this is a good move? Or he said, this is the guy I just got?
No, it's usually, we're thinking about doing this. Do you have any thoughts on it, is basically. And I'm extremely honest. If I'm very familiar with a player, I'll give my spiel. If I'm not familiar with a player, and a lot of times it's some minor league kids that I may not be familiar with, I'll say, I really don't know.
Now, two guys that you've traded you are familiar with, and you used them a lot. You liked them, Adam Warren and then Justin Wilson. Your thoughts about those two guys getting traded?
Well, when I look at Adam Warren, he was extremely valuable to us, but we got a player in return that we believe is going to be extremely valuable. And last year when we made the trade for Didi, we had to give up a starting pitcher in Shane Green, and there were some questions about that. It worked out pretty well for us, and now we feel that we've kind of stabilized the middle of our infield, which is extremely important. We have two shortstops out there, which we think will help us tremendously. Obviously, I'm going to miss Adam. There's a relationship there. But to get something good, we had to give up something good.
Now, one of your strengths, Joe, I've always said is since you took over as manager in 2008, you always carve a bullpen. I'm not saying out of nothing, but kind of like a ball of clay, and then by the middle of the season, you've got a bullpen. Are the pieces in place right now, or are there still moves to make? Because you lost two important pieces.
Right, you lost two really important pieces. Justin Wilson did a tremendous job in the seventh inning, and Adam went between starter and bullpen and was the guy that we could turn to in the bullpen to either be a seventh, eighth, or ninth if we didn't have that guy, or a guy to keep the game close if we needed some multiple innings. Are those guys in place yet? No, but I think they will be by the time we start the season.
Starlin Castro started as a shortstop with the Cubs, moves to second the final 2 months of the year, and hit well over 350 after he went to second. Do you feel comfortable with him defensively at second?
Oh, I do. I think he's got a great set of hands. He's got a very good arm, an arm to play shortstop. And it had to be a tough situation in Chicago for him because he knew that Addison Russell was eventually going to be the shortstop, and he was probably going to be moved. And sometimes that plays in a young man's head. So when he moved to second base, he probably relaxed, didn't have to worry about that. Maybe I'm going to be here forever, and played very well.
One of the things Brian Cashman has said that you're doing, and it's very clear what you're doing, you're getting younger, you're getting more athletic, and at the same time, last year you still make the playoffs. That's a hard, exacta to pull off. Is it tough for you to do as you're kind of transitioning the team?
No, I think, Brian has done a tremendous job. And the thing is, we're still trying to win every day, and we're still trying to win a World Series, and we're building our club to get closer to winning another World Series. And our guys played extremely well last year. I expect that again from them this year. And I think, adding a second baseman like we've added should really help us.
You also added Aaron Hicks. Where's he going to play?
Well, I think he's a guy that's going to be able to play everywhere. Left, center, right. He's going to be able to give these guys days off. We can keep them fresher during the course of the season, and I think he's going to play really well. This is a young man that is a powerful right-handed bat. His swing left-handed is a work in progress, but I saw a lot of improvement last year from him left-handed. He's a center fielder, very athletic. I'm excited to have him.
In the past, even when you were playing with the Yankees, Joe, one of the things the Yankees did was if they needed something, they went out and spent a lot of money to get it. Now they're more or less making trades, trying to clear some salary off. Are you on board with that?
Oh, I love what we're doing. And here's the thing about contracts now. Contracts are much longer. So, I mean, when you look at almost every one of our position players is in a long-term contract, all but our shortstop. So that's part of it. You can't just keep adding long-term contracts and sitting guys on the bench that are on long-term contracts. So the game has changed. Now that contracts are 5, 6, and 7 years, there's not as much overhaul and there's not as much change, and you don't see free agents come as often.
Can you believe the money that's out there?
Oh, it's unbelievable. I mean, what these guys are signing for. So, I mean, TV has done wonders for the game of baseball.
Now, when you look at what your team did last year and the players that are available now, Brian has been very forward to saying anybody can be traded. Does it make you worry that a Gardner could go or an Andrew Miller could go, guys that you really leaned on last year?
Well, these are guys that obviously you've developed strong relationships with, but it's part of the business. And I think our goal is to build to winning another World Series as soon as we can. So sometimes we have to do things a little bit different because of how long guys are signed, and you can't just go get another pitcher or go get another infielder or outfielder because there's not a spot for them.
Do you talk to your players at all during the winter?
I do a little bit. I kind of give them their space until after the first of the year. I think guys are very busy with their families, their kids, the holidays. I give them their space, and then I start communicating.
Do you know anything about Teixeira's leg? Is he feeling better?
I saw him the other day. He's doing much better. I saw him on Saturday. He is doing much better, and excited to get him back.
You expect a player in full in spring training with Mark?
I do.
And do you think Alex can repeat what he did last year?
I sure hope so. You know, it's the first time he's hit 30-plus homers since 2010, but I still think that he can be extremely productive. I don't know about 30 home runs. That's a lot of home runs for anyone. But I still think that he can get on base and drive in runs and do the things we need him to do.
Does it worry you what the Red Sox did? They got a top-flight pitcher, a top-flight reliever, and although that was the team that finished last year, Yankees, Red Sox are always intertwined.
Yeah, well, the one thing about the game is you have to play the games. I mean, when you look at maybe where people picked our division last year, it's nothing like it ended up, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to go out and play the games. Injuries sometimes play a role in it. Obviously, they've gotten better. When you had David Price and you had a closer and a setup man, you're going to get better. They're young kids, played very well at the end of the year last year, but you got to play it on the field.
You made the playoffs last year. You lost in one game to the Astros. Do you consider the season a success or not? Is it bothering you that you lost that game?
It was disappointing. And I'm not disappointed in our guys because I think they gave me everything they had, but it's disappointing when you go out like that. And we did everything we could try to stay out of that one-game playoff, and we weren't able to do it. You know, we lose a big bat, a right-handed bat, and Mark Teixeira. And I think that's one of the reasons we went and, you know, added Castro, because we were vulnerable to left-handers at the end of the year, and all of a sudden we started seeing a ton of them. In our division, there was not a lot of left-handed starters early in the year, but that changed, and that hurt us. So I expect these guys to be back and us to do better.
One final thing about your starting pitching. A lot of question marks toward the end of the year. Evaldi was out on the DL. Tanaka had minor surgery in the offseason. CeCe went into rehab. What are you expecting right now?
Well, I think there'll be some question marks going into spring training until we get to April 1st. I think there's going to be those question marks, very similar to last year. But our guys seemed to answer the bell, and we were able to get through it. And we've added some depth with the trade we made for Justin Wilson. Brian Mitchell's another guy that we expect to help us out, so we should be okay.